Hello everyone, it's Kari back with you on the channel to share a bunch of cards that I made today using this high swirl frame die. I cut out a whole bunch of swirled frames in various colors of cardstock. I've got some glitter cardstock, some mirrored cardstock, all kinds of colors. And did you know that there's a placement guide stencil for this frame? And that's what gave me the idea that I really needed to make a stenciled background with this swirl frame die and create a set of cards for Alice. Are you surprised? I love creating Alice cards, and this was like my perfect opportunity. So I definitely was excited to make this, and this card set has actually been in the works for a while. Now I have some tape on the back of this panel, and I'm going to tape that down to my glass board mat, and then I'm going to take this stencil. It has some lines around the edges, so it makes it super easy to line it up on your card panel. If it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, that's a typical A2 size, and you can see that it's going to help us put those frames on the panel really easily when we get ready for that part. But first, I wanted to stencil the backgrounds and make them really fun and colorful for some fun and colorful Alice cards. So I'm taping off the bottom, probably, I don't know, the bottom fourth of this stencil because I want to make it a really fun ground for Alice. And then the top, I have some rainbow colored ink, and I'm just going to go in a clockwise manner with the pink and then the orange. Then we'll go in with yellow and green. Of course, we've got to have some blues and purples in there. So I'm just going clockwise around the top portion of this stencil. Now I'm using my magnets, but occasionally you'll see me hold down the top with my fingers just to make sure I'm not knocking it out of place. The magnets are pretty strong on this glass board, which I have loved, by the way, since I got it. And so I mostly use those, but every once in a while I'll hold it down with my fingers just for some added security there. So I'm going to finish inking this on. And I'm just doing a light inking because we are going to stencil over the top of this one more time. So after I get all of the colors on, I'm going to, for this first one, do something a little bit different. So I'm just going back through some of those colors to make sure that they are blended well. And now I'm going to move the tape up to cover that rainbow top portion, because for the bottom I want to use my Wonky checker stencil, my very well loved Wonky checker stencil, and I'm going to create a ground or the floor. I don't know, one of the two. And I'm just going to use some black soot and a smaller stencil brush here and stencil that all on. So this is going to bring in that Alice theme with the fun feeling to it. And I'm going to make a lot of these. I'm going to make 6 cards, I think, today. So I'm going to do this 6 times. But I'll change it up a little bit every single time just to make it fun and crazy, like Wonderland might be. Once I remove the Wonky checker stencil, I am going to lightly ink over the rest of it to make it a black and gray instead of black and stark white. I thought it kind of went well together that way, but I didn't add any extra ink to that when I did the gray inking. But I am just going to go over it just a tiny bit more to darken some areas up, and then we'll remove the mint tape. And now we can figure out which stencil we want to use for the background. For this one, I decided to use this Sparkles stencil and also some glitter paste through it to give it kind of a magical feeling. I think this is a fun one. I've got a couple different glitter pastes here to use, and I'm going to use this one. I just have to squeeze it on and then spread it out, and I'm nearly almost out of this one. That's how much I have loved it. And so I'm just going to use up what I can and spread it all over those sparkles in that stencil. I'm also going to put some over the floor, I decided, and let me show you what that looks like. Here, I'll hold that up. So see, you can kind of see the sparkles in the video. It's a little more subtle, but there you can see it just a touch more. So I'm going to set that one aside to dry while I do all of the other stenciling. And I'm just going to show you kind of an idea of what I'm doing here. So I'm going to do the same starting out portion where I tape off the ground, do the rainbow stenciling in a clockwise fashion, and now I'm going to take this diamond stencil and stencil over that with the same colors. So they're just going to be kind of subtle designs in that background in the same colors as the background, just a little tiny bit darker. So you can see I'm trying to use the same colors over where I stenciled those colors on first. And then you'll see this diamond pattern. So I'll finish up that last purple color here. There we go. And now let me just peel this one off and show you. Yeah, that's going to look good just like that. Look at that. Now, once I have that top portion stenciled, I can tape that off and do the floor with the same Wonky checkers. I'm going to use the same stencil for the ground on all of them. So the only part I'm changing up is the rainbow background stencil. And so those are all going to be different, and it's going to create a really fun set of cards. Again, I'll do that with black soot, and then I will kind of ink over it, not adding any more ink, but just a little bit. There we go. And there's our next background. So let me go ahead and show you some of them. I decided to make a more distinct line using some warm gray Copic markers, or I'm sorry, this is neutral gray. So that was the N3, and then I'll bring in the N1 to blend that out. And that's going to create more of a dramatic look. So you can see the difference there. So here's all the backgrounds I made. I used the hearts stencil on one with the Alice Pack background, the smiles there, you see the diamonds, and then there's also the suits and the sparkles with the glitter. So that one is definitely more subtle, and you can see that here. Now let me show you how I'm going to add all of the ribbon frames. I'm using the same stencil to line them up, just like that. I'll hold that down, and then I'll add some glue to the back of this frame. I'm just making sure I have this in correct, that it's right, the right way up. Anyway, I think it might be, I'm not sure if it's the same on both sides, but I'm just checking to make sure it's going to fit, and then I'm going to add some liquid adhesive, and then I will add that to the card using the stencil to guide me along. That way I'm not going to get this ribbon off in a weird, it's not going to look too weird. Although I guess it really doesn't matter because this is Wonderland after all. Once I get that glued down, I'll carefully remove that stencil, leaving that frame behind just like this. And there we go. And it seems to me to be pretty fast when you do it this way. You could try it without the stencil if you want to and just slap it on there, and that's fine too. But this stencil, I mean, if you have it, you may as well use it, right? And we used it on the background as well. So this stencil, I think it has multiple uses, and I just love it. All right, I'll carefully remove the stencil from this one, and I'm just going to go ahead and add all of the ribbon frames just in the same manner to all of the background panels. So here's the last one here, just gluing that right down. This one I used a kind of pearlescent cardstock on. I think it's really, really pretty. There we go, and just touching that up, make sure that it's all glued down. Perfect. So let me show you all of the backgrounds that we did here. There is this one with the hearts. There's the smiles. I bet you can guess which character I'm going to add to that smiles background. Some diamonds, and there's our sparkly one. So now it's time to add all of the images. Now I already have colored up these off camera, and I am now just cutting them out with the coordinating dies. And I'm going to decide which backgrounds I want for which images, And I knew I wanted to make kind of a bookend one, so I want one that has the flowers on one side and one that has the flowers on the other side, and they're kind of going to be a pair. So you can see I've got one with Alice and one with the Mad Hatter, and the flowers are on opposite sides. So here's all 6 I kind of have laid out, and I'm just going to stamp the sentiments on and glue down all the images that are die cut. Now I'm gluing all of these down with liquid adhesive, no foam tape at all, because I knew I wanted this to be a card set. So I didn't want a lot of dimension popping up, because when I put these all together, they're going to have enough dimension enough on their own. So I'm only using liquid adhesive. Of course, if you are doing this and you're just making onesie twosies, you could definitely use more dimension. I just love all these images. I don't think it's a surprise. So I'm putting down the Mad Hatter, that little bread and butterfly there. We've got Alice with the white rabbit on this one. Some of my favorite sentiments of all time I'm using, like, would you like an adventure now or shall we have tea first? And I thought this was funny because I think the white rabbit is like, look what time it is. We don't have time for tea. And then we've got the little door on this one. Now for this one, I did cut out some of the extra little mini dies. So I've got the heart locket here with the heart key. And I think that's so cute. I cut those out of silver cardstock. For this one, I cut out the lots of letters. And for the mini heart, of course, it had to be a little turquoise glitter heart to match that frame. So she's going to be holding that letter. I heard you fell down a rabbit hole. I like that. And then, of course, the smiles one had to be the Cheshire cat. Life's too short not to smile. And then I used some of these rings. These are from the Postage stamp and seal collection. Those circles came from the faux wax seal, and they're the perfect size to put around a couple of those smiles in the background. All right, let's take a look at all our cards. I've put them all together, and here they are in all their glory. They turned out so fun, I think. I hope you like them too, but wait, we are going to put these into a card set for gifting, and it'll be so fun for someone that loves Alice in Wonderland or loves to read. So here's a look at all of them. You are my truest friend, Alice. And then next to her is going to be the Mad Hatter. Now, I did not put a sentiment on the front of the Mad Hatter. My intention is to stamp one on the inside, and I think that'll work just perfect. And there they all are, all 6 of them. Didn't they turn out so fun and so cute? And what ties them all together is the same look throughout, with the frame and with the floor and the backgrounds, even though they're a little bit different. So I'm going to group all these together. I've got a bunch of envelopes here, and I've got some black and white ribbon, which is going to match perfectly. And I'm just going to tie them up just like this in a nice simple bow. And this is going to be the perfect little gift for gifting. I don't know about you, but sometimes I just love to gift card sets to people, and I think they really appreciate it too, especially when you include the envelopes. So I've got some blue envelopes in the back there to match with Alice. You could include some stamps if you want as well. You could also wrap this up. But just to show you, here is our set, all nicely packaged together. And I had a lot of fun making this. These images always bring a smile to my face, and I just love working with them over and over. You can bet this is probably not the last video you'll see with some of these images. I love those wildflowers too. Didn't they turn out cute with those little singing pansies? Very, very cute. Now you could, of course, add your own embellishments. You could add some more glitter, gemstones, enamel dots, whatever you want, and finish them off. But if you tie them up and give them to someone, I'm sure they'll have a big smile on their face. Thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to give this a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back with more cards to share real soon. Bye-bye.